Well, hello again, YouTubers. Today we are doing sort of backstepping with the backstepping, but also upgrading the kickflip. I did have these rubber tires on it, and the biggest problem that I noticed with these when I first got them was, see if I can actually make, they're glued in place now, and they're loose on the shaft, which is a very bad thing, because, I mean, I can spin a tire. But when I first had it, the tire would spin around the rim, the wheel itself. So I just used some hot glue that I had sitting around, put it down inside that little cavity right there, and then quickly put the wheel back on, and it actually, as you can see on this one, I cannot spin the tire. So if I can't, that tiny little motor right there can't. Okay, and I also had these two larger front wheels on it. They're, I'm guessing, probably about a centimeter bigger, but they weigh more. One thing that is really cool about the kickflip is you can gas it and it'll stand up. Adding these adds too much weight, and this adds too much grip. I literally, the spur gear that attaches to the, the pinion gear, the very small pinion gear that attaches to the spur gear, you can actually see the damage, some of the damage done to this gear from the slipping. I mean, it's not all the way around, but right there you can really see it. It's a flat spot on a gear. So I had to go back to the stock axles, which is not a big deal. It still runs fast, but with bigger diameter tires, you have a higher top speed, less acceleration. With smaller tires, you have more acceleration, lower top speed. The second thing I did is I had another one of these, and the board crapped out. So I went and bought another one because I really enjoy the little thing. And I had a bunch of spare parts, because I didn't return it because I had already modified it, so I couldn't return it. But as you will see, as I take the top off, where'd my cotter pins go? Can't lose those because they're tiny. I always put the rear wing over the cotter pins and take the whole body shell and cover them up. Now you see there's a battery on top now. I just use some double-sided tape to hold it in place, because if you don't, it'll just move around. But I'm going to take this off so I can show how I actually got to this point. Also in the back you can see I put a stiffer spring in, so it's not so loose. I mean, with the regular spring, this thing just hops as you accelerate. So you have these four little Phillips head screws. And all you gotta do is quickly loosen them. And remember, the way I attached my spring, I actually hot glued it in place. And I have some very good hot glue, thanks to my fiance getting it. She went to Walmart for 98 cents. She got, I believe, 10 sticks. And it's a lot better than the hot glue that came with the gun. I didn't get that one completely loose. Okay, now, as you can see, up under there's already one battery. It's a 15C discharge, so 15 amp discharge, 60 milliamp hours. Well, that one is connected to the bottom of the board. What I did was I took the battery from the one that crapped out and I soldered it to the top. So I now have 120 milliamp hours. So that gives me a good 20 to 30 minutes of runtime compared to the 5 to 15 minutes depending how hard you push it. But that's basically it with everything I've done thus far. I'm still thinking of what else I can do to improve power, I'm actually going to give some of the gears to a buddy of mine who has a machine shop, the internal gears that strip out, and I'm going to see if he can make some small steel ones, and they're very small gears. Literally, let me think. The pinion gear is about the size of that, but it's a little black, and it's about that. It's about a 3/4 of a centimeter, so about 7 millimeters. But once you get the battery in place, soldered in place, you have it straight out says V negative and V positive. You can't really see the V yeah, you can see it right above my fingernail. It's small, but it's on the little PCB board. Yeah, there's the V positive. And just red goes to positive, black goes to negative. And then slowly assemble it back together. Oh yeah, the spring. As you can see, my spring stays in place. I hot glued it in place, so I don't have to worry about it popping out or anything if it rolls over, because that's one thing that I noticed with the stock spring. It wasn't all that great. Huge shout out to Glenn at the hobby shop in Stockbridge, Georgia. He's a very friendly guy. If you need anything RC related in basically in the northern part, Middle Georgia up, because in Middle Georgia there is all you have is Hobby Lobby, and as most of us know, Hobby Lobby does not carry RC parts. So I have to drive. My local hobby shop is what, about 85 miles north, and like I said, Stockbridge, Georgia. Let me get this back on real quick. And the way I did these batteries, they are in parallel, so I'm not going to fry the board. It continues giving 15C output. If I was to do it in series, it would give me 30C and most likely fry the board. I'll just make sure that's nice and taut, because I don't want it to come unsoldered. Then you tighten it down, and it actually tightens all the way down, and it squishes those wires, and it works fine. And then you take the battery and get some good double-sided tape. That was the last of it that I actually had to peel off the roll. I gotta go buy some more. And then just tape it right there. I don't really care about that red light. The only time I need it is when I am turning it on and binding it to the little controller. This is the controller. So now I'm running 2 batteries with a total of, like I said, 120 milliamp hours. And with this thing, that it really gives more than enough time to play with it. The downside is charging takes about, I don't know, about 30 to 45 minutes depending on the charge of your AAA batteries inside your controller. But my next hack is going to be, I have an extra controller and I'm going to cut this piece off and solder it to one of my Proto X charging cords, because I have 3 of them, so I can charge it via, it's still just 5 volts, and with this I'm doing 6 volt. So, but as the batteries, until I get some rechargeable AAAs, I want to try that. And even if I do get rechargeable AAAs, I would still like to do that, but not with that controller. That's my good controller. That's the other one. I could never set the trim. The trim, it was either full reverse or forward a little bit. So I could never get the trim dialed in. And then the second cotter pin goes in place. This is the one that's a little butt to get in place. Here it goes. But now you see down inside, there's a second battery. And like I said, I had to change from this because it was literally stripping out the axles. I would haul ass backwards and then gas it. And the first couple times it would do it, but after about 5 times I would start hearing a little the grinding of gears. And you definitely don't want that, because, and I actually had to replace a pinion gear, and I had to, this axle had to go because the gear on it is shot. So I would suggest sticking with the stock. If you would like a little higher top speed, one thing I did was took double-sided tape and wrapped around the tire twice. I mean the wheel twice, and then slipped the tire itself back on, the little foam tire. So still get good, very good acceleration, still pops wheelies, not as, without this it would pop wheelies every time I would give it gas, which I didn't really like that. And I didn't like the extremely low top speed. And also, one last tip, as these start to get dirty, as these foam tires start to get dirty, you're going to need to get a damp rag. And you can actually see on this rag, I've already cleaned the tires. As you run these tires anywhere, they're going to get dirty. So all you do is take a damp rag and just sort of squeeze it, and then rotate the wheel around the damp rag, and it will take off all the dirt. Not all the dirt, but you will notice over time that you'll start losing traction, especially with the front wheels. You'll have less turning radius. So that's basically it when it comes to the upgrades I've done so far. The next upgrade that I'm wanting to do is, like I said, the metal gears that go inside the drive case. So, like again, until next time, peace, and have a good weekend.